In this session, let's see what is RS-485 and its uses. RS-485 is a communication system which is used for communicating with two or more devices like PC, PLC. RS-485 enables the configuration of the inexpensive local networks and multi-drop communications links. RS-485 has the data transmission speed of 35 megabit per second up to 10 meter and 100 kilobits per second at 1200 meter, and it can be span up to 1200 meter. The data is transferred in the form of voltage. The voltage varies with the devices. Most commonly used is 3 volts to 5 volts. In the idle of the wire is fixed with the termination resistor to provide the termination and to reduce the noise. And RS-485 can be used in the automation systems, computer systems, networks, CCTV connections and controller circuit. RS-485 is using the twisted pair cables for transmitting the data, and it follows the master and slave operation. If we see the pin configuration of the RS-485, it is a DP9 male pin. Okay, so it have the 9 pin configuration. So normally we'll use 1 for the ground connection, and for the receiving of the data we'll use 4 and 5 pin, and for transmitting the data we'll use 8 and 9 pin. RS-485 will support for the full duplex and half duplex operation. So that RS-485 will support for the bidirectional communication and also for the unidirectional communication. If we see the master and slaves operation, so the top controller will call it as a master device and the bottom devices or will call it as a slave devices. The slave devices will not have the control of the master device, but master device will have the control of all slave device. Suppose if some information has to send to the slave A to the slave B, then it is not possible. The information first it has to send to the master, and master will send to the other slave devices. Here in this only the master and slave communication is possible, not for the slave to slave. If we see the network topology for this RS-485, it will support for the point to point connection. Okay, so it will be like one master and one slave, and the data will be transmitted between only these two devices. That's the point to point connection. And this RS-485 it will support for multi-point connection also. So here one main node will be there and all others will be the slave nodes, and it can be connected in both series and parallel. And this RS-485 it will support for the multi-dropped topology also, means all the nodes will be connected to the main node, and there will be no node is permitted between this. Suppose if the PLC is connected to the transmission interface with the transmitters, then in between you can't connect any other devices. So it will be multi-dropped configuration. If we see the RS-485 connectors, you will get 3 different types of connectors: DP9 connector, LAN connectors and serial bus connector. Depending on the application, depending on the terminals, we will go with the connectors. This you can see, this is a RS-485 to LAN connector, and this one is the RS-485 to DP9 connector. These converters between the RS-485 and other formats are available to allow a personal computer to communicate with the remote devices by using the repeaters or multi-repeaters. because very large RS-485 networks can be performed. We can convert RS-485 signals to RS-232 and RS-232 signals to RS-485 using the converter. And also we can convert the RS-485 signals to the USB Ethernet. This RS-485 will have the limitation in the length. Suppose if you want to use in the larger network, then we'll use the repeaters and multi-repeaters for the larger application. So you can convert the RS-232 to 485 or vice versa. So while the conversioning of the signals, the RS-485 signals will be converted to the any other signals. We can convert to the any other signals like RS-232 frame format or Ethernet, or we can convert to the USB signals also. If we see the disadvantage of this RS-485, the old network can only one node can transmit the data to the bus at any moment, and all other nodes must be receive the data, because this RS-485 will follow the master and slave operation. So only one device is allowed to send the data and also to receive the data at a time. In this RS-485, if two or more nodes transmitting the data at a time means the old transmission will fail, because at a time two node cannot send the data. Suppose if it is like it's happening means it will rise the error and the old transmission will fail. And this is a special communication cable. Maximum communication distance depends on the communication cable. RS-485 will use in the Modbus communication, where my device will support for the Modbus communication. There I'll use this RS-485 and I'll convert the signal to the to other signals depending on the application.